Finished chapter 2. Let's start chapter 3. Chapter 3, Mishnah Aleph. בשלושה פרקים בשנה תורמין את הלשכה. 3 times a year we're going to designate the money to the lishka. Okay, so let's understand what's happening over here. כבר הזכרנו, we already mentioned, שכל השקלים היו מניחים בלשכה מיוחדת. So the money used to come in, silver used to come in, and they used to put it in a bank vault. There used to be a bank vault in the temple that they used to keep all the silver in. From all the year, money is coming in, continuously coming in. It's not only coming in a specific time. It comes all the year. Whenever you have money, you come for 3 regalim, you give the half a shekel if you didn't give yet.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
You would claim you would want it in the first of Nisan.
So why?
But if the guy didn't give, he will give. Yeah, because he needs to give it. So it will come throughout the year. Now, usually they will give it by then because the people will go into your property. Yeah, but let's say you didn't. Whatever, or you didn't have. Yeah. Uba, Mishnah, or sometimes...
Sometimes they tell you, okay, pay it in the next quarter.
Maybe you can get...
some more time.
Maybe that's what they used to do. Yeah.
Okay.
Uba, Mishnah ללמד, the Mishnah comes to teach, ששלוש פעמים בשנה תורמים את הלשכה. So the Mishnah comes to teach you. So they had silver in the vaults, right? They had silver in the vaults. But 3 times a year, they would take the silver out and they would buy sheep with it. There were 3 times a year, they would take silver out for the buying of sheep. Now what?
They don't buy everything in the beginning of the year.
That's right. They wouldn't.
So they have too many.
And why not? You need a lot of herders to herd all these sheep for the entire year. It's a lot of, or maybe blemished, or whatever the case. Very good. Maybe you don't want usually I don't think that will be such a big problem, the blemishes. But the overhead will be big. The overhead of the business will be big if you have sheep on. So they will, when they will do it? Before the regalim, before the holidays. Why before the holidays? 3 times, because they wanted to make sure if we're not going to do it before the holidays, we're not going to have enough sheep. Because people, they had to make sure there's sheep just before the holidays. Now that they would buy it right before the holidays, that the people will have the sheep.
But if they were coming from a far distance, wouldn't they take the silver to Jerusalem and buy the sheep over there?
That's exactly what the Beit HaMikdash is afraid of. It says we're going to buy the sheep before them. Yeah.
And they needed what? For the whole year, you need more than 700 sheep twice a day.
Yeah, whatever. So they were.
It's a big.
Yeah.
It's not there.
היינו, שהיו ממלאים מן המעות שבלשכה 3 קופות גדולות של 3 שאים. There was 3 charity box, big charity box, 3 שאים each. כפי שיובא להלן משנה ב', like we're going to explain in משנה ב' how it was done. כדי לקנות מהם קורבנות ציבור. In order to buy from them the sacrifice for the ציבור. When did they used to do it? בפרוס הפסח. Pros comes from the word prusa, it means half. In half the Pesach, 2 weeks before Pesach. Half the Pesach, 2 weeks before Pesach, half the month before Pesach. בפרוס הפסח, לפני חג הפסח. ומבואר בגמרא, the Gemara is explaining, 15, not 2 weeks, 15 days, half a month.
Why don't say ראש חודש פסח?
Because it's not necessary to be so much before.
No, but it's 15 days before Pesach. Pesach is ט"ו, י"ד.
Yeah. 15 באב. Yeah, the first of Pesach. 15 יום קודם הפסח. 15 days before the Pesach. שאין פרוס פחות מ-15 יום. That pros means half. So pros is a measurement. We don't use it today. Yeah, we don't use this like פרוסה. פרוסת a month. That's what they call it. פרוסת a month means half the month. שכן לשון פרוס פירושו חצי. פרוס means half. והיינו מחצית הזמן ששואלים ודורשים בו בהלכות הפסח. It's half the time where you learn the halachot that has to pertain for Pesach. And you learn the halachot a month before. כמו ששנינו בברייתא, like we already learned, שואלים ודורשים בהלכות הפסח קודם לפסח 30 יום. that we have to learn the laws of the holidays 30 days before the holiday. וכן בשאר חגים, so in other holidays. בפרוס עצרת, 15 יום קודם חג השבועות. 15 days before שבועות, same thing, פרוס עצרת. שבועות, 15 days before, you have to designate that money. You take the money out of the silver and you take it out. בפרוס החג, and in...
Not only take, you buy the korbanot.
בפרוס החג, 15 יום לפני חג הסוכות. And 15 days before the סוכות. You designate. היינו ביום האחרון של חודש אלול. In other words, in the last day of the month of Elul. Interesting. You would say, okay, never mind. מפרשים מבואר, in the מפרשים it's explained, שלא היו נוטלים כל השקלים בבת אחת. They didn't give all the שקלים in one time. לפי שהרחוקים לא הביא עדיין את שקליהם. Because some people still didn't bring it in. It's still coming in. Yeah? When you do it in the first of Pesach, there's still the Wells Fargo chariots with the money are still coming in from all over Israel to come in. So therefore they would do it 3 times a year to make sure. והן גרנות למעשר בהמה. And what are they? Goren is a place that you put wheat. This is a place you put wheat, you collect, but not wheat. What do you collect? The tithing of the behema, the tithing for the animals. 3 פרקים הללו, these 3 times, הם הגרנות. They are the place where you keep the money. Don't look at it as goren. It's a collection. It's a charity box. לעניין מעשר בהמה. When we're counting the tithing of the animals. It says, why is the tithing of the animals so important? Why do you need to do it 3 times a year? שבכל אחד מהם חייב אדם לעשר את הבהמות שנולדו בין פרק לפרק. Because otherwise you will lose count which one was born when. Your animals that are born all over Israel, the animals are born and they have to go to, the firstborn has to go to the Ezeu, and not only the firstborn now, every 10th one also has to go. Yeah, and you're going to lose count. They're going to go into your field. So the small ones, you see them when they are. You know, so 3 times a year you have to, those who are born between this part and this part, you have to designate it. You have to send the money. In other words, send us the money for the master behema. ואסור לאכול מהם ולא למוכרם עד שיעשרן. And they tell the people, you have animals, you have sheep, you have cattle. Now you're not allowed to eat those small ones, and you're not allowed to eat from the small ones until you're going to tithe them. Anything that was born, you're not allowed to eat until it was tithed. So they were allowed to eat the animals. There were some animals that you were not allowed to eat 3 times a year. Let's put it this way. Until you actually gave the tithing, then you're allowed to eat those animals. Just like what? Just like we learned in the wheat. Until you actually, if the wheat is in the field, you didn't collect them, this is the collection. This is putting it in the goren. That's right. This is the memareach. This 3 times a year is the memareach. גרנות, לשון מושאל מעניין המעשר של תבואה ופירות. To use this term, it is just like the thing that we learned about the tithing of wheat. שכן בתבואה ובפירות, because in wheat and in fruits, הגורן קובע למעשר. When you smooth the goren, you smooth the storehouses, that's when the tithing kicks in. שלאחר שהובאו לגורן, אסור לאכלם עד שיעשרם. That by the time you bring them into the goren, now you're not allowed to eat it until you tithe them. וכך גם תקנו חכמים בהמות הנולדות במשך השנה. And this is what the sages designated, that animals that are born throughout the year. I didn't know that sheep are born throughout the year, by the way. I thought that they're only born once a year, but I'm not a farmer.
I have sheep only in Pesach.
Right? I don't know. So I don't know exactly what it is. Maybe cattle is different. Maybe cows are born throughout the year. I don't know. We need a farmer over here.
You're also saying just if it's born just after Pesach, right? Because it's still in the first year.
Uh-huh. Oh, we're going to see. I think we're going to get some clarification, if I remember correctly. ששלושת הזמנים שנזכרו לעיל קובעים למעשר בהמה. The 3 times that we mentioned above, they're establishing it for the tithing of בהמה. ומשהגיע אחד הזמנים הללו, אסור לי למכור או לשחוט מבותיו עד שיעשו. And when one of these dates come up, he's not allowed to eat or sell any of his animals until he tithes. Any of the new animals.
Like the time of the harvest. Is the time everything there? Oh,
That is the harvest for animals.
yeah, then the harvest for animals. 3 times a year, I guess.
This is Divrei Rabbi Akiva. All of this, what we learned now, is according to Rabbi Akiva. בגמרא אמרו, in the Gemara they said, ששלושת הזמנים של מעשר בהמה הם כנגד שלושת הזמנים שהבהמות יולדות בהם. Oh, here now we can become farmers. There are 3 times a year that the animals can give birth. Maybe some places are more popular, but it's possible in these 3 times a year. שיש בהמות שמפקירות לילד בתחילת החורף. There are some type of animals that do it in the beginning of the winter. ויש בהמות שמאחרות לילד בתקופה שבין פסח לעצרת. And then some animals do it later, between Pesach and Shavuot. ויש שיולדות בתקופת הקיץ. And some animals, some kosher animals do it in the summer. ויש מבארים, and the Ardozu says, שחכמים קבעו שלושת הזמנים הללו, that the sages established these 3 times, כדי שתהיינה בהמות מצויות לעולי רגלים. They wanted these 3 times, so one opinion it's got nothing to do with the regel. It's just because that's when they're born. The other opinion, no, it has to do with the regel. Why? Because you needed enough animals when people come to ירושלים. שאף על פי שמותר למכור ולשחוט קודם שהגיע זמן המעשר, that even though you're allowed to shecht and to eat before the time of the tithing came out, מכל מקום היו נמנעים מלמכור ומלשחוט עד שיעשרו. Even though halachically they were allowed to, people wouldn't. שניחא לו לאדם, why people wouldn't? שניחא לו לאדם לקיים מצווה בממונו בדבר שאינו חסר בו כל כך. Because it doesn't cost you anything. If you can tithe it and do a mitzvah with it, it's preferable. So it said, if the mitzvah costs you money, maybe you will not do it. But over here, it doesn't cost you extra. You have to tithe anyway. So tithe it in the right time. What's the difference? שהרי מעשר בהמה אינו מקריב אלא חלבו ודמו, because מעשר בהמה, you're not losing anything because you're going to eat it anyway in מעשר בהמה. Because what goes to the altar? All that goes to the altar is the fat and the blood. The rest you eat. Anyway, you don't eat the fat and the blood. So what do you care? In other words, you're going to use it anyway. So, it's like eating. והשאר אוכלו כולו, and the rest you eat the whole thing. ומכאן, אילו לא היו מתקנים לעשר בזמנים הללו, so therefore if they didn't designate to tithe in these times, היו הרבה נמנעים מלמכור. Many people would not sell. Says, why do I need to sell now? מלשום שלא איסרו עדיין ולא יבואו מצרים לא רגלים, and then people will not have enough money. So they make them eat it. Says, whether you want to or not, you'll have to eat it now anyway. So if I have to eat it, I'm going to give the meiser already. I'm going to eat it as a meiser instead of eating it as my money. Yeah.
They collected for...
But who do they buy it from? They would not be available. The market would not support it.
So they would buy also those behemoth from the Kohanim?
They will give incentive to the people to have their animals on sale. Otherwise, the people will not have incentive. The animal says, oh, I'm going to tithe it. Now I can eat it and sell it. It comes together. If I wouldn't tithe it, I wouldn't be able to eat it. So now...
I was thinking in my imagination that in Beit HaMikdash was a place for flock. That they would, they'll have 300-400 behemoths there. That every time you want to shift, and somebody take care of them.
Yeah, they would.
Kind of a bank, or no?
You're right, but think about the measurements. You're not thinking big enough. Imagine you've got 600,000 men coming to Yerushalayim. Everyone has to bring at least re'iyah. That's one sheep. You're talking about 600,000 sheep you need. You're not talking about to keep a flock. And that's the minimum. Some of them bring 20, 30, 40. You're not talking about, it's a global scale. And now to keep it the entire year, you're crazy? All the work, the overhead is too much. So they will let the farmer do the work and they will buy it just before. And how they will incentive the selling? By doing this. So up to here. Ben Azai Omer,
So what they do, they give you incentive to bring it and sell it? Or?
because anyway you're going to eat it, right?
Right.
So you need to eat your thing. So the meiser, you eat for the holiday yourself. So just by eat, you can get regular sheep and eat it. But this one you have to bring anyway. So you say, I might as well tithe it, and then I can eat it anyway.
So you bring the master in the time of the 3 times, the 3 holidays, but you bring another sheep too or that's better, you buy it from Bet HaMikdash?
You can bring your own. You don't have to bring the one from Bet HaMikdash. But people would travel from far away. They would sell the money and they would just buy.
The sheep of the master you had to bring. You couldn't bring money.
I don't know. We didn't learn about it yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you can exchange.
Money, then
I would think it's just like the granot. Just you can exchange the money for money. Yeah, because sheep to bring from a faraway place is also a problem. Ben Azai says, שלוש הגרנות למעשר בהמה כדלקמן. Ben Azai says, I'm going to give you the date for them. How? ב-29 באדר. In the 29th of Adar. אף בן עזאי סובר 15 יום קודם הפסח. Even Ben Azai says it's 15 days before Pesach, so it's the same thing. How is it different? אלא שלדעת רבי עקיבא, חודש אדר הסמוך לניסר פעם חסר, but according to Rabbi Akiva, hey, there's a problem, because sometimes Adar is 29 days, and sometimes Adar is 30 days. So sometimes it's going to be on the 1st of Nisan, and sometimes it's going to be on the 29th of Adar. That's according to Rabbi Akiva. Ben Azai says, no, it's always going to be on the 29th of Adar. I never wanted it on the 1st of Nisan. That's the difference between him and Rabbi Akiva. פעמים, ונמצא ש15 יום קודם הפסח, פעמים ב-29 באדר, פעמים ב-30 באדר. Sometimes it's 29th of Adar, sometimes it's 30th of Adar, sorry.
The question I asked, why don't they say first Nisan?
The reason why they cannot say 1st of Nisan is because of Sukkot. Because Sukkot, if you're going to say the 1st of Nisan, Sukkot is the 15th of Tishrei. The 1st of Tishrei is what?
Rosh Hashanah.
You cannot do Ma'aser on Rosh Hashanah. So you have to do it a day before. That's what Ben Azai says. I think that's what he's going to say, if I remember correctly. ולפיכך...
The day, you wouldn't know it's the day.
Of...
You said the first, you wouldn't know if it's the first that day or maybe it's the next day.
Well, good point. Good point. Good point. You won't even know when the first day is. Yeah, because it was by the moon then, at the time. אבל בן עזאי סובר שהאדר הסמוך לניסאי לעולם חסר. Ben Azai disagree with Rabbi Akiva. He says, even at the time of the Torah, when it was go by the moon, yeah, it would not be 29 and 30, 29 and 30, 29 and 30. He says, even when you have a calendar, Adar would always have 29 days. ו15 יום קודם הפסח לעולם ב-29 באדר. וב-1 בסיוון. And in Sivan, you only have the 1st of Sivan, he says. You don't need 15 days before. Why in Sivan? Why before Shavuot you want Echad b'Sivan? בגמרא מבאר טעמו. In the Gemara it explains why you don't give 15 days. שהואיל ומעטות הם הבהמות הנולדות בין פסח לעצרת. Because there's so few animals that are born between Pesach and Atzeret. In other words, this is the time where you don't have a lot of animals that are being born. So he's trying to give as much time for the animals to be born before it kicks in. In other words, if he makes it 2 weeks before, you have a week of animals that are being born that you cannot use. אם יעשר 15 יום קודם עצרת, יאכלו מהם הרבה במשך הימים שעד עצרת. He says, you won't have enough in the market until the שבועות. ולא תהיינה בהמות מציאות לעולות רגלים. And there won't be any animals for the people who are going to come to ירושלים. הילקח זמן המעשר באחד בסיוון. Therefore he pushed it up to the one of Sivan, because this time there's not a lot of animals that are being born. היינו 5 ימים קודם חג השבועות. 5 days before שבועות. This is Ben Azai. וב-29 באב, and in the 29th of Av, שסובר Ben Azai thinks, הבהמות הנולדות בחודש אלול מתאסרות בפני עצמם. It says, they tithed on their own. I have no idea what that means, but when we go to get, it means automatic, you don't have to say. I think that's what he means to say. You don't have to designate a time for it. Everybody knows that time. Yeah, and we're going to learn it in Masechet Bechorot. I have no idea what it means. Rabbi Elazar ורבי שמעון אומרים. So we have Rabbi Akiva so far, we have Ben Azai, then we have Rabbi Elazar ורבי שמעון. They say, שלושת הזמנים למעשר בהמה הם, the 3 times for מעשר בהמה. When are they? באחד בניסן, in the first of Nisan, שסוברים הם כרבן שמעון בן גמליאל, that they hold like רבן שמעון בן גמליאל, ששואלים ודורשים בהלכות הפסח 2 שבתות קודם הפסח. 2 weeks before Pesach. ואף איסור הבהמות קבעו לאותו זמן. They hold not a month before, they hold 2 weeks before. Also they learning. So therefore they say it's the same time when you start teaching, that's when you do the meiser. שאף זה מהלכות הפסח. This is also from the laws of Pesach. שיראה ברגל ויביא את המעשר הבהמה. That you're going to be seen in the regel and you're going to be your tithing. And the second one, באחד בסיוון, in the first month, in the first of Sivan, כדעת בן עזאי, like Ben Azai, because again, that's because there are not enough animals in Sivan. ב-29 באלול, and then in 29th of Elul. כמו שהמשנה הולכת מפרשת הטעם, just like the Mishnah is going to explain, מפני מה אמרו רבי אלעזר ורבי שמעון ב-29 באלול ולא אמרו באחד בתשרי? Why did they say the 29th of Elul and they didn't say the 1st of תשרי? כמו שאמרו באחד בניסן, like they say in the 1st of Nisan. מפני שהוא יום טוב, because you can't do tithing on יום טוב, or ראש השנה, because it's ראש השנה. ואי אפשר לעשר ביום טוב. And you can tithe on יום טוב. So it looks like this is even after the calendar. It's not even after the calendar this everything works. בבבלי מבואר ששתי תשובות נאמרו. In the Bavli it's explained that they're actually different. שבאחד בתשרי ראש השנה למעשר בהמה. 1th of Tishrei is the head of the year to tithing of the animals. ויש לעשות היכר בין חדש לישן. And you have to make a differentiation between the new one and the old one. Just like with the גרנות, ישן וחדש. מפני שאחד בתשרי הוא יום טוב, ואי אפשר לעשות ביום טוב. So some says it has nothing to do with what you can do on Yom Tov. Because it's just a time. We didn't tell you to tithe it on this day. We just told you this is the day where the cutoff is. You don't have to tithe it on this day. You just have to know which was born before this day and which was born after this day. That's the first opinion. The second opinion, no. We told you actually to do the tithing. מפני שאחד בתשרי הוא יום טוב, אי אפשר לעשר ביום טוב. And therefore you cannot tithe in the second. That's the second opinion. כשם שצובע את העשירי, שיהיה ניכר ואסור לצבוע ביום טוב. Because, in other words, the first opinion says you only need to know that this is the cut-off day that you need to start doing the process. The second opinion says, no, on this day you need to do the process. You need to paint. And since you cannot paint, you cannot do it on this day. That's the difference. לפיכך הקדימו ל-29 באלול. That's why you put it on the 29th of אלול. הקדימו את זמן המעשר של הנולדים בקיץ ליום 29 באלול. So therefore, they put it on the 29th of Elul because you cannot do it, the work on Aleph of Tishrei.